Okay, so picking up with APR point 1 and ACED point 2, along with FBF point 1, we're going to talk about adding, subtracting, and multiplying polynomials. Okay, so this is going to cover active questions 19, 21, and 23 from the 2018 released EOC for Math 1. So looking at question number 19, we have this. So the perimeter of the triangle below is 8x minus 6, okay? We have side QP of x plus 1, side PR of 3x minus 1, and we have an unknown side QR. Okay, so the first thing that we always want to do is go ahead and add together the sides that we know. So I have x plus 1 plus 3x minus 1. I have 1, which is positive, plus negative 1. They're going to cancel each other out, so we have plus 0. And we have x plus 3x. Well, I know that my coefficient on x is 1, so 1 plus 3 is 4, and I simply bring down my variable of x. So we have 4x plus 0 equals the total for the sides PQ and PR. Okay. So then we're going to take the total of the two sides we know and subtract it from the perimeter. Why? Because I know that the perimeter of a triangle is going to be one side plus another side plus the third side. Okay. So I've added two sides together. I've subtracted it from the perimeter. I have negative 6 plus positive 0 is going to give me negative 6. 8x minus 4x is going to give me 4x. So my total for the side that I'm missing must be 4x minus 6.
Teachers will please report in their duties.
Okay, so we're going to pick up with question number 21. David has a rectangle and a right triangle. The length of the rectangle is 5 more than its width, W. The length of the shorter leg of the triangle is equal to the rectangle's width, and the length of the longer leg of the triangle is twice the length of the rectangle. Which function f of W represents the combined area of the rectangle and the triangle? So the first thing that we always want to do is start by drawing our figures. So let's go ahead and draw our rectangle with the given dimensions and the right triangle with the given dimensions. Okay, so here are our figures. We have our rectangle on one side. We know that the area of a rectangle is always length times width. So according to our first statement, the length of the rectangle is 5 more than its width, W. So W plus 5 is equal to the width, is equal to the length. And I know that width, according to the statement, is W. So we have our length and we have our width. Okay. Then according to the next set of statements, we have the length of the shorter leg of the triangle is equal to the rectangle's width. Well, what was the rectangle's width? W, so here it is, W. And we have the length of the longer leg of the triangle is twice the length of the rectangle. Well, what was the length of the rectangle? W plus 5. So twice that would be 2 times W plus 5. And I know that the formula for the area of a right triangle, or any triangle, is 1/2 base times the height. Okay? So then I just need to go about figuring out what the area of each is. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and perform our operations here, length times width. So we have W times W plus 5. Okay? We can do rainbow or any other method that works for you. If you like stacking it, if you like doing the box method, whatever works for you is fine. So I have W squared plus 5W. Okay? And that represents the area of the rectangle on this side. On the other side, I have 1/2 base times height. Well, that means that I'm going to multiply this side by this side and then divide it by 2, or multiply it by 1/2, which is the same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and perform my operations with this. So 2 times W is 2W, and 2 times 5 is 10. Okay, so, oops, can't seem to write here. All right, and 2 times 5 is 10. And then we have W times this sum. So we have W. And notice all I'm doing is performing each thing in its turn. I still haven't dealt with multiplying 1/2 by this total or dividing this total by 2 yet, because I still need to perform some multiplication. So I've got W times 2W, which is 2W squared, and I have W times 10, so plus 10W. Okay. Then according to the area formula, so I've taken care of base times height with this. Now I need to divide it by 2 or multiply by 1/2, which is the same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and divide by 2. I have 2 divided by 2 is 1. That leaves me 1W squared, so W squared. And then I have 10W divided by 2. Well, 10 divided by 2 is going to be positive 5W. All right, so now I have the area of my triangle. I have my area of my rectangle, and it says that f of w represents the combined area of the triangle plus, of the rectangle and the triangle. So the combined area means I'm going to add my rectangle area plus my triangle area. So I'm going to go ahead and perform that here in the middle, so we know we're joining them together. So w squared plus 5w plus w squared plus 5w. And in total, I have 5w plus 5w, that's 10w. And I have 1w squared plus 1w squared, it's going to be 2w squared. Okay, so I'm going to be looking for the equation which matches this. So the function which matches that is going to be f of w is equal to 2w squared plus 10w, or the answer choice A. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the next question here. All right, so this question is number 23, and if we had the actual test, we would be clicking and dragging one option from each of the lists below into its corresponding box to create an equation, the line that passes through the point 1, negative 10, and is perpendicular to y equals negative 1/3 x plus 5. Okay. So unfortunately, we cannot use Desmos for this explicitly, but we are going to be able to create the equation pretty simply. So the first thing that we need to go ahead and highlight is the word perpendicular. Why are we highlighting perpendicular? Because perpendicular is going to tell me all I need to know about the slope of my line or equation that I need to create. So perpendicular always, always, always means that I'm going to take whatever slope they've given me. In this case, negative 1/3, I'm going to flip it and switch the sign, okay? So we're going to flip it and switch it. So I have negative 1/3. If I flip it, it becomes negative 3 over 1, and I'm going to change the sign. So if it's negative, it becomes positive. So I have positive 3 over 1. Well, I can leave it as 3 over 1. Or I know that 3 over 1 is the same thing as a whole number 3. So positive 3 is going to be the slope of my new line. So because I know that the slope is really going to be the coefficient, and then I know that I always have to pair it with an x, I would drag 3x down. Okay, so that's already done for us here, 3x, okay? And then I need to go ahead and use my slope along with the point they gave us to figure out the b value and then the equation. So I have 3 times, well, what's my x value in this ordered pair? I have x equals 1 and y equals negative 10. So 3 times positive 1 plus some b I don't know equals negative 10. So let's solve it for b, and then we can rewrite our equation. So I have positive 3 plus b is equal to negative 10, and I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides because my goal is to get our b all alone so that we can define it. So we have 3 minus 3 is 0, so that leaves me b on one side, and on the other side, I have negative 10 minus 3. Well, if I'm subtracting a negative from a negative, it's really like adding the two together and giving it a negative sign. So I have negative 13 for b. So then we put it all together. And the new equation is going to be 3 times some x, whatever that is, minus 13 should equal our y, whatever that is. So we have y is equal to 3x minus, okay, 13. So we would put together, I'm sorry, I've realized you guys can't probably read my writing there, so let me make that a little bit cleaner. I apologize. Okay, we have 3x minus 13. So we would have pulled out this, and this. All right, guys, I hope that little refresher has helped you guys know how to add, subtract, multiply polynomials, as well as to work with perpendicular lines. So we will come back to each other in a little bit.